Good morning. What's up, po' boy? Today we're going to talk about notice what I did there? Notice what I got? Also, part of this, the most outer paper layer was torn. What do you think of the recreation by hand cut by coloring in, huh? I colored pretty good, didn't I? So it's kind of hard to tell. I just drew some little lines through the middle section there. But anyway, the cookbook, I'm going to use the script material in it. Today we're going to talk about my justifications for the reverse Uniflow diesel cycle. Okay? I mean, my diagrams that I have. Oh! I mean, just pop that. It cracked! Here they are. I got my Compound Locomotives research book. And I have stored in it a couple of my pages. Oh, I need to see if I can refigure this. I'm gonna get some oyster sauce eventually. I say. Put that aside. Okay. What the hell? What the hell? Anyway. Folks, my justifications for the reverse Uniflow 2-cycle diesel, I think my justifications are valid. Yes, my Discord just went bloop 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 bloop. Excuse me. Ah. Sorry, stiff and a couple stiff spots back there. I got them loose now. Anyway, the typical Uniflow 2-stroke diesel cycle. This is a cushioning bearing, cushioning piston. It's also kind of, it takes the side to side, the horizontal gyrating movements away from the piston and the. So instead of one connecting rod, two connecting rods. There's the cushioning bearing there, cushioning piston, should I say, and then the night sleeve inside the cylinder lining and cylinder, and then the piston that goes up and down, all that shit. Then you got the connecting rods. Well, as you can see, there's a roots blower to pull air in and then pressurize it, shoot it through the intake ports. Piston comes down, valves open up, gas starts traveling down, it starts traveling outward, and then exhaust starts going out. Then the pressurized air blows the rest of the exhaust out for scavenge. Very effective indeed. Okay, but like on a diesel, say you want to recreate the Detroit suit engines, and you want to do something a little different. Well, I got something for you. While this works, there are a couple things you can do to, I would argue, improve on it. I got 11 justifications. So instead of a Uniflow like this, yeah, I drew this by hand. Instead of the Uniflow, we have the reverse Uniflow. Yes, I drew this by hand too. Well, instead of coming through the side, all the intake could be at the top. roots blower sucks air in, making a artificially, negative pressure or suction, on the outside, compresses it and pushes it on a positive pressure, it forces it down. But here's how it goes. It comes up. These don't have anything carrying through them. The air gets pressurized. Typical diesel fashion. It's charged, it gets compressed. Detonation happens. The detonation makes a flame front and then spreads through the droplets, makes an air-fuel mixture and burns, and it causes the diesel compression ignition to happen, and it pushes the piston down. As soon as the piston comes down far enough after the shit's done its work, then the low pressure aspect of the exhaust ports causes the shit to start traveling downward as soon as it's done. Before the the intake valve opens up and sends it down. Why am I arguing for this alternative approach? Well, I already could tell there's 11 benefits that can be gained from this for doing these alterations to the Uniflow two-stroke cycle. Number one, due to the exhaust being a sudden, due to a sudden vacuum-like effect for the exhaust to start traveling downward as soon as the piston's done its work, starts to happen, and then it starts getting more completed. The completion starts at the final, at the final, movements downward of the piston, getting the work extracted. So the exhaust can be start getting ported as it's getting its work extracted out of it, the energy or the power, which energy done in a temporal window. Power, work done in a certain amount of time, and that helps the scavenging a little bit. When you have a bottle filled up and it's so tight, and you just poke it with a hole in a little hot needle. The gases start coming out because the pressure outside of the bottle is lower than it, so it starts coming out. That effect happens a little bit sooner. So that's number one. Number two, the intake valves, due to being able to stay a little bit cooler and shit like that, these valves could potentially last longer. Intake valves. The intake can be simplified. It could all be on this top section instead of, say, on Detroit's and shit. The top holds the roots blower, and then it shoots it down these channels, down these intake, routes it all down the intake port. Well, it can just sit right all up there. This enables this, so the intake can be simplified, and that's going to lead to another thing, the other reasonings down the road, down the list anyway. This would allow more efficient use of engine modifications more easily, because you can simplify the intake and certain other things as a consequence of that, as a cascade of consequences from that. You're going to basically be able to make more effective use of engine modding, and it makes it a little bit easier to work on, so it gets this done. 5. Due to the longevity potential of the valves being higher, because they're allowed to stay, a little bit cooler, they're allowed to cool off. You can also build them in a way they can be somewhat thermally isolated from the combustion chamber. Depends on how you do it. They can do that with rotary valves. I'm sure they can do it with poppet valves to some degree. And due to these factors that you could throw in, the longevity of the engine overall can actually be increased. The potential is higher. Whether that potential is being made use of or not depends on how you build the shit. 6. Due to reasons number 3 and 4, reasons 3 and 4, this allows more engine scalability. to be able to do more things. Due to reasons 3, 4, and 6, number 7, engine simplification or simplifying of the engine building is higher overall because of the simplifying of the air intake to get the same work able to be done, which is good. That allows more flexibility. Those same reasons I listed on top of number 7 allows not do the simplifications of different ways will allow increase adaptability to different uses. Tech adaptability, like you can adapt it to different types of uses and make it more flexible for domestic cars and trucks, make it more easy to adapt. You can also adapt new technological improvements to the combustion engines themselves, to the engine as well. That also feeds into the enable the efficient use of engine mods, because other kinds of technology to the parts can be more likely, able to be adapted, I guess you could say. Which also leads to increased versatility in uses. Number 9, you can adapt it to more shit. Sorry about jumping ahead accidentally, but you can adapt it to other, different more uses that way because of all the reasons listed above. More use in passenger cars with lower emission, with tighter emission standards and all that. Certain combustion enhancement technologies can be used in the. You absolutely can do. And I'll have to go into my favorite diesel engine mods at some point to go into which ones I'm going to talk about. Number 10. I think this cycle would really make good use out of the Elsbit duothermo combustion tech. And number 11, I think this could allow the more effective use of low heat rejection tech as well. Imagine a low heat rejection Elsbit duothermo piston design. This will allow decent full vaporization of the diesel fuel through the combustion process and swirling and mixing with the air proper. You did some low heat rejection tech, it would maximize this capability and also do some other improvements. Now what you'd have to do in an indirect injection diesel, you would have to do the dual bowl swirling combustion chamber and crown of the piston, low heat rejection tech. Some Japanese researchers figured this out in 1994 that lowered the nitrogen oxide emissions that way. Quite a bit, actually. And that could be practiced across the board for. Anyways, folks, these are my justifications for the. These are my justifications for the reverse Uniflow diesel engine tech. Simplifying things can make things much work better, can make things last longer, can make more adaptability to the engine design, makes the engine design more able to be worked with for different uses and different versatility, and it can allow the potential thermodynamic and compression efficiencies of the diesel engine to be more emphasized and used potentially. Thank you for watching. I hope this was at least a moderately educational video. I will link more of the stuff in the description below. And by the way, this stuff was worked on by Rody Power Systems, and they actually had a plant that closed down back in 2001, 2002 down in South Louisiana. And I'll tell you what, I hate that happened because they actually had a good thing going. I think a lot like Ludwig Elsbit's son. I don't think there was enough of a market for it, or it was not promoted enough. I think they got shafted by lack of proper promotion. Some people in the mechanic world knew about this company. I'm fortunate enough to know it through the internet and multiple certain other outings and the patents they filed on their take on the process. And yeah, And they did make engines, and they did reproduce them, and they did have reproducibility, and they made results. But just sadly, they didn't get enough sales, and their businesses had to close down, tragically. These things can and will happen. They shouldn't, I would argue, but they do. Someone needs to revive this effort and improve on it further. I think it could be. These justifications don't tell you. I guess nothing will. I'll see you later. Mushroom Po Boy signing out.